What is the value of age? I talk a lot about buying and selling businesses on this channel, but one thing I don't bring up that often is age. Now, when it comes to valuing a business, how long it's been around, its history of profitability, its track record of growth, these all are fundamental core aspects of what goes into evaluation. Now, typically, whenever you hear me talk about age, I often say the kind of hurry up and wait scenario, because there's nothing you can necessarily do to increase the age of the business that you want to sell other than just wait, right? But if you are a buyer of a business, you do get to choose how old the business is. And age can play a pretty fundamental role in how safe or how risky a business acquisition really is. If we look at the Bureau of US Labor Statistics, in the first year of a startup, when they first open their doors, about 20% of them will close their doors that same exact year. Now, by year 5, roughly about 50% of businesses have closed their doors and they are no more. And by year 10, that number shoots up a bit more to 65%. And by year 15, you only have 25% of startups left. Everyone else has shut down, they have died, they've gone out of business. Something has happened where they are no longer in the marketplace of ideas, they are just gone. So when we are looking at buying a business and we're asking ourselves, how do we buy something that has the least amount of risk? One thing that a lot of buyers don't consider is age. Now, my most prolific buyers, they certainly do. Age is a big part of a lot of their buyer criteria. In fact, a lot of my best business buyers, they really subscribe to this idea called Lindy's Law. So Lindy's Law is something that was used in perishable goods I should say unperishable goods. But basically the basic concept of Lindy's Law is if something has been around for a certain amount of time, that gives the expectation it'll be around for the same amount of time going into the future. So if something's been around for 5 years, there's a good chance it'll be around for another 5 years. Something's been around for 15 years, good chance it'll be around for another 15 years. Now, this is not a rule you want to subscribe to with blind faith, but there is a certain level of truth to the whole Lindy's Law. I mean, if you bought a business that everyone else has failed, but this one's been around for 15 years, it's in the top 25%. The chances of that business doing a lot of things right is very, very high. So if you're a brand new business buyer and you are really full of anxiety on what you should buy, you should consider going older, looking at businesses that are aged up. Because unlike a business owner that's starting from scratch where they have to start at day 0, you as a business buyer can skip 10, 15 years by just going and buying something that's that old. Now, there is a big problem with age if you are looking specifically at the Empire Flippers marketplace, because we sell online businesses and a 15-year-old online business is extremely old, right? Like, we have sold businesses in that age. In fact, I think the oldest one we sold has been around for 20 years. So kind of like at the birth of the mainstream internet in a lot of ways. But with that said, most online businesses just simply are not that old. In fact, I would say most businesses we sell are really more in the 3 to 8 year range. Now, there are still a lot of businesses we have that are over 5 years old, and even 3 years and up can often be a good purchase. In fact, we tend to not even sell anything that's less than 3 years usually. Sometimes we do have it for sure, but in general, we are wanting 36 months of data from our sellers. But you as a buyer, you can skip through all of that. So if you are looking for a less risky play as your first acquisition, then I recommend looking at age, because something that has survived, say 5, 6 years, means they have survived a lot of storms. And in the online business world, that feels more like 12 years because things change so dramatically, so quickly all the time. So a business that has survived that long most likely has the traits of adaptability and flexibility to reposition themselves to survive another 5 or 8 years. Now, again, there are caveats there. You don't want to subscribe to this with blind faith. But if you're looking at a business that has been around for a few years, they have more than one marketing channel, and no one source of revenue makes up, say, over 40% of the revenue, i.e., like, let's say you have an e-commerce store and it has like 40 products and one product makes up 60% of the revenue, that's usually not a safe buy. Just like if it's a blog that only gets SEO traffic or only has potential for SEO to make money, then also maybe not a good buy, right? So you want to look at your risk and ask how diversified is it in terms of the traffic and in terms of how it makes money. But age is a nice shortcut, because typically businesses that are older have also had more time to explore other marketing channels and explore other revenue opportunities. So if you want one bit of buyer criteria that can greatly reduce the amount of time you're looking at businesses that may not strike your fancy, then use the criteria of age. If you go and sign up for an Empire Flippers account, which is totally free, by the way, empireflippers.com/registration, you can get an account that you can literally filter I think we have like 200 listings live right now. You can filter all those listings by the criteria of age. And another cool thing about age, typically the business is going to be a bit bigger. So not only is it often more stable, less risky, but it'll probably make you more money too. So there you go. Very short tip, but if you want a shortcut when it comes to actually finding businesses that you think have a lot of potential, start with age. There's wisdom in those years.